cool. Okay. So as you can see, this is our gnome. I would have put him on the other screen, but it's a green screen behind me, so he kind of, you can't really see him, but this is kind of our end result. This is his little hat. I have a little thing, and then his butt is basically just a sock with rice in it. So we'll get started. Everybody has a hot glue gun, right?
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully everybody has the sock with rice, a piece of fabric. I have a couple of different styles, so if it doesn't look like this piece of fabric, that's fine. And then 2 pieces of twine. There should be like I called it an ugly twine, and then there's the pretty twine. And then there is a length of rope, which is this right here. So that's what I mean when I mean length of rope. You hopefully should have gotten some hot glue sticks, the little wood ball, which is going to be his nose, and then a piece of ribbon. Again, it's going to be different colors. I kind of ran out of ribbon, so this is what we had. And then you should also have a couple of different hat patterns. This I got from somebody online. Her name is Jennifer Maker. She does a lot of Cricut projects. We don't have Cricuts. Well, I have a Cricut, but I figured nobody else had access to a Cricut. So you're basically going to pick the design that you like as a hat, and you're going to cut it out and then use that as the template for your gnome hat. So it's kind of like up to you which one you want to use. And then you're just going to use it as a template for the fabric, but that'll be later. So if you want to get started now, so you're going to take your sock, and some people's socks are a little different. They are they've got kind of like a curve here, and then it goes in right here, like in the middle anyway. So you might not need to do the second part, but for everybody there should be like a length left. I didn't cut that off, but you might want to. So I'm just going to cut off so that there's just like a little bit above where I tied the rubber band, just because we don't need it. It's a little bit extra, we don't need it. So we're just gonna start by cutting that off, and then your sock should look like that. So then when we're done with that, we're gonna take our ugly twine, and then because rubber bands tend to disintegrate over time, we're just gonna kind of use the twine to, we're just gonna create a knot on top of the rubber bands, just because when the rubber bands finally decide to go, it won't have the rice fall out. So we're just gonna tie a knot in there. And then that way we don't ever have to worry about our gnome losing all his stuffing. And then you can just cut it. Okay. And then for the people that have the socks that are just kind of like the straight, we're also gonna kind of put maybe in the middle of the sock body, we're gonna also tie with the ugly twine. We're just gonna kind of tie around his belly, just to kind of give him and accentuate it, and it kind of keeps it from all the rice kind of flowing to the bottom. So it'll kind of give him a little bit of structure. So we're just gonna kind of tie this in a knot a couple of times. And then once you're done with that, you're just gonna cut off the excess. So now you should have a sock that has the twine on the top and then somewhere in the middle, just to kind of give them a little bit of definition. Okay, so now the next part is we're gonna take our length of rope and kind of untie it. And then this part is kind of up to you. For this one, it's the same rope, if you'll notice that I gave you. But basically when we're all done, we're gonna basically untie the rope. So I don't know if you can see. So right now it's braided, you have a braided rope, but once we get it all on, we're kind of gonna gently unbraid the hair, although you will lose a couple of strands. Just keep that in mind when you're going for like bulk and length, how long you want it. So for mine, you're gonna start from where the middle is, where you have that twine, and you're just gonna kind of measure down, and you want it to at least go to the bottom of the sock. But if you want, you can also add maybe like an inch after that, so that it goes from the middle of the sock to down here, and then we can always trim it later. If you don't like the length, like if it's too long, we can always cut the length, but I would cut a little bit over what you want, just to make sure that you have like a length, because again, it's easier to cut than it is easier to make something smaller than to make it bigger. So you're just going to measure it like that, and then you're gonna kind of use this first one as your template, and you're just basically gonna cut. We're just gonna keep cutting for like a really long time. You can either use all of your length of rope, which you probably will need to. I'm gonna use all of mine because like I said, I'd rather have too much and then not use it. But I think I gave you just enough to where you're gonna wanna use all of it. So I'm just gonna use this one as a template, and it doesn't need to be quite even, because again, we can trim his hair after we're all done. So we're just gonna keep cutting until we are out of rope. Is everybody still with me so far? Okay, so hopefully everybody has their hot glue guns glued in, and we're basically just going to get that out of the way. Put a line of glue kind of right at where you put that middle piece of twine, and I'm gonna go in sections because hot glue tends to dry really fast. And so like I'm just doing the section right here, and you're gonna put kind of a couple lines right there on the sock. And then you're basically just going to be very careful not to burn yourself. You're gonna place the top of your rope that you've cut onto the hot glue. And you're just gonna kind of stick it on there, and then you're gonna go with the next one. Just kind of sticking it on there. And if you need to do kind of smaller, like I did a length about that long. If you need to do smaller lengths of the hot glue, that's fine. Because like I said, hot glue tends to dry really fast. So I might end up having to do another one as well. So we're just putting the the lengths of rope starting at this middle section right here. And this is kind of gonna get covered by the hat. So it doesn't need to be like super perfect right here because we're gonna cover it with the hat. I just kind of put enough that, because what I noticed when I did my first one is when I just did one little line, it tended to, when you're gonna unbraid all of this, it tends to fall out. So I like to put maybe like 2 lines kind of going down so that it gives it something else to stick onto. So just 2 lines right underneath each other. So it's kind of like a thicker line. I don't know if you can see it really well. So it's like, I think I did like 2 lines, but then this is already dry. So I'm gonna need to start another one. And then hopefully you still have some rope left because we're gonna do a second layer. I like to start it like halfway down. And I probably have about, hopefully the same amount left. But I'm gonna just do a second line that's like about halfway down, down the bottom. So like I'll start it right here. So this is where I started the first line, and then I'll start the second line, probably about right here. Yeah. You can kind of choose where you want to do it. I'm going to do it right there, but I might even make it, yeah. I think I might start a little closer up. So I might start it like right here. So only like maybe an inch down from where I started the first one, just because I want to make sure that his beard is nice and bushy. So I'm just gonna kind of go like that and start my line right here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough to do all the way around, but at least in the front, I'll be able to get in the front. So if you're not sure if you're gonna have enough to do a second round all the way around, at least try to get to where you're like, this is gonna be the front of my gnome. So try to like make it so that you go with the part that's gonna be seen from the front. So I'm gonna, instead of going all the way around, I'm gonna concentrate on the second row to the front of my gnome. So I can make sure that I have enough. And again, being careful not to burn yourself because the hot glue really likes to burn you. That could just be me. Okay, so we've done the front. I'm gonna turn him a little over so I can get to the side too. Just to kind of, so his profile is nice and bushy too. And I'm going to turn him on the other side to do the same thing. Where was he? Right. I'm just going to make sure that I put all of my rope, but if you don't think that you want to put all of your rope, you don't have to. If you think you're going to have a bushy enough beard without it, it's totally up to you. Okay. So now I have this right here where I have the 2 layers. So what I'm going to do now that I have it all glued on there is keep your glue, hot glue gun on, because like I said, once you start unbraiding it, you may, like, some of them may start to come loose. So I like to kind of hot glue them down as I'm going, just to make sure that I don't lose that many, because you'll probably lose a few strands, but hopefully not all of them. So now I have my hot glue, and my first layer is pretty well dry because, like I said, hot glue dries pretty quickly. So I'm just going to start on one, and I'm just going to, you know, gently just kind of unbraid it. So this part's kind of time consuming. So if you, so we're gonna do kind of a couple of strands and then move on, because like it's very time consuming. It'll take you a while. So you could always maybe, I don't know, convince the children to do it. If you have children, I don't want to say they'll win a prize or something if they unbraid all the braids. But we'll do a few just to kind of get the gist of how to do it. So we're just basically unbraiding it all. So for this next part, we're gonna kind of set him aside, and then you're gonna go back to these patterns, and you're kind of just gonna pick the pattern that you think looks the best. This one right here, it looks like it got cut off, so you might not be able to do this one. Oh, it would help if I actually showed it on this screen. Looks like this one kind of got cut off a little bit. But like these were 2 strands that kind of sit around his if you wanted to do this one, they kind of like sit around here like earmuffs almost. I don't know if you've seen like the winter hats that kind of sit around your ears and kind of warm your ears. So that's kind of what this one looks like. But so I think I'm just going to go with this really simple one right here, and then find my scissors. So I'm just basically just going to cut this right out. And it's going to be my template, my fabric. Before I even use it as my template for my fabric, I'm just basically gonna kind of show you it like this. So we're just going to take it like this, and then you can kind of see how I'm just kind of making sure that it's gonna fit and that I can get all of my little hat in behind it, just to make sure that see it. And then we're just going to hot glue it in the back to make sure that it covers the whole thing. So if you notice, it's going to go over a little bit of your top layer so that it kind of fits snugly over it. So that should help. And we're going to hot glue it down too. So hopefully that'll kind of help some of the strands as well. So now I'm going to use my template to cut out my fabric. It would probably be better if I pinned this in place, but we're just gonna wing it. Or if you have like a pin or something and you want to trace it, that might work a little bit better too. I'm just gonna kind of hold it and hope for the best. And I mean, if you have access to a Cricut machine, you can always use this template to cut out your hat using the Cricut machine. It'll be a little nicer of a cut, but so you notice mine's not exactly even. So I'm just gonna kind of work on kind of fixing that. Hopefully cutting my finger. Looks like I just need to kind of fine tune it just a little bit. So then this is my fabric now cut out into my hat style. We're gonna kind of do the same thing. And then you kind of want to make sure that you have, this is like kind of your front, because the back's not gonna look that great. So you want to make sure that you kind of have your front one, like where you have the most of your strands, so that it looks the bushiest in the front. So let me make sure that this is my front. Back. Okay, so this is my front right here. And I'm just going to kind of take it again and make sure that it fits. looks like it's going to be close, but I should be able to squeeze it all in there. You might notice that you maybe have to take a little bit of the rice out of the top, just to make sure that it'll fit. You can always do that. You just got to untie the string or the twine, or if it's irritating and it won't come undone, you can always just cut it. And then I gave you I should have, hopefully, given you a couple of extra rubber bands again. So you just rubber band like once. So I'll show you if you want to take out a little bit. So I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to cut the rubber band as well. And then I'm just going to kind of let out a little bit of the rice, just to kind of make him a little bit less full on the top. That rice right there. But then now I'm going to need something to kind of tie him back up. So just taking one of the rubber bands again. We're just going to kind of manipulate it, see where the top is, so there's no more rice right here. And then I'm just going to rubber band it kind of tight a few times. There. And then now see, I have a little bit bigger of a top, so I'm gonna again cut that. So he still has kind of just a little one. And then again, we're gonna take some of our twine, because again, the rubber band's not gonna last forever, and just kind of tie a couple of knots in there to make sure that it stays. Yeah. And then we're just gonna kind of cut off the excess. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my little hat again, and then this time it fits a lot better, so it'll look a little bit better when I go to hot glue. So now that you have your top the way it needs to be, and it fits, the hat's gonna fit on there well, now we're going to use the hot glue to put the hat on how it will look best, how you like it best. So I like to just make sure that it's just over this over the top of where we glued the top of the ropes, just to, like I said, hide at least that top row. And then, like I said, leaving enough for the back so that the back we can hot glue it as well. So we're just gonna kind of do a line of glue. A line of glue where we're going to hot glue the hat down. Being careful, because even though there's fabric, the hot glue is still going to be painful. So don't burn yourself. And then we're just going to kind of go all the way around, being careful again not to burn ourselves. Like I keep saying that, mostly because I keep burning myself, so I assume everybody else is kind of burning themselves too, but it could just be me. Like I said, I don't have a lot of patience, so I tend to try to make sure stuff is done before it's ready. So we're going to put the line of glue so that we take it all the way around. Ow, 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 ow. Ow. this piece. Ow. Ow. Okay, so then once you have it kind of glued all the way around, we're gonna kind of hot glue the middle of it together so that it kind of creates a hat. So we're closing it up in the back. You're kind of gonna just fold it over a little bit on one side, and then just to kind of see how it's gonna, I need to get it done. It's gonna be a little bit different for everybody, but you're just gonna kind of glue it down so that it closes up in the back. So like how I have it like that. So I'm just gonna put a line of glue right here so that it will stay. And again, being very careful not to accidentally hot glue your finger. Might take a couple of tries because mine tends to like to not work. Kind of folding it into itself just to make the hot glue stick. And then at the bottom here, it kind of is not quite down as much as I want. So I'm just gonna kind of use my scissors to push it down so that it stays flush onto the back of his head. That way it kind of protects my hand from the hot glue. There's actually things at the dollar store called finger savers. I think I'll have them for the next craft. It's basically just silicone that you put over your finger so that you can actually touch the hot glue kind of directly without burning yourself. It has come in handy. I don't know why I didn't bring it in today, because it would have helped today. And then if you notice, I kind of missed right here. I don't know if you can see it from that angle, but I didn't close it quite up enough because the glue looks like it dried too fast. So I'm just gonna kind of go over it again. And make sure that it sticks this time. Hot, hot, hot. Okay, so now I have my little pointy hat. So, and you can decide if you want your hat to just, this is it for your hat. You don't want to do anything else with it. On my first one, I added a little bit of the twine kind of around, just to kind of give it some interest. You don't have to. I also, you can make his hat kind of go down like that. So like, I don't know if you can see it really well, but like I have his hat like that. I think on this one, I kind of like his really pointy hat. So I don't think I'll actually, I don't think I'll try to make it so it flops over, because I like how it's just sticking straight up, but it's kind of up to you. That's also why I gave you guys the pretty twine. So you can, use the pretty twine and kind of go up in a circular motion if you want. The twine and the ribbon is basically just if you want to add it to make it look cuter, or it's just to kind of give it something. If you want it to, I don't know what I did with my ribbon. For him, for my first one, I put a piece of ribbon around this edging. Again, you can do that with the ribbon I gave you, or you don't have to. It's kind of up to you. But the last part that we really need to get done is his nose, because right now it just looks like a sock with ribbons and that's it. So we want to give him his nose. So what I like to do is you're just going to kind of pick a spot in the front, and you kind of it's kind of up to you where you want to put his nose. I noticed that there's like a little bit of a space right here where I don't have really any rope already, so I feel like the nose will fit right in perfectly right there. If you want his nose to be down further, you can do that. It's kind of, again, up to you where you want it, but I like it right underneath the hat, in kind of like a area that doesn't have a lot of rope already. So that's where I'm going to put his nose, and I'm basically just going to put a bunch of hot glue and shove his nose on, and then just hold it down just to make sure that it fully stays until it's dry. Just holding it. Okay, so now I have his nose on. So mine's not really done yet, because I haven't obviously unbraided all of his rope for his beard. But once I do that, then I don't think I'm gonna add any embellishments to his hat, because I kind of like this how it is. But again, you can decide you wanna flop it down like that. If you have maybe leftover stuff from Christmas, like I had this leftover pine cone display from Christmas stuff, so you can, use that as like a little topper for his hat. You can use the pretty twine that I gave you, or the ugly twine, if you kind of like that rustic type of look, or the ribbon. It's kind of up to you.